I agree with him 100%.
Okay, the individual, Jim.
Nice. We're done. There you go.
Because a few months ago, I got abducted, and I woke up with burns on my right arm.
Okay.
Tell us more, man.
I hear I hear all these stories about people. What?
No, just continue, please. Tell us more about the what happened to you.
Oh well, because I get tired of the cat and mouse thing. So periodically, I'll ask for proof. And so I went to bed that night. And I said, "When you guys take me, do something physical, so I know I've been someplace, but don't hurt me. But just do something, but don't make it like I'm going to be hurt or something." Anyways, I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I didn't get up till like 10. Usually, I get up earlier. And it's in the summertime, so I went out and I having breakfast on the front porch and everything. I'm sitting there, so the back part of my right arm starts to sting. So I put my finger back there, and I'm kind of feeling around. I felt like a scab, and as soon as I touched it, it would sting even more, and it was gooey. I guess that's when the white blood cells try to, form skin. And most of the scab was there. It was mostly formed, and then the bottom of my forearm started to burn. So I went down there, and the same thing there, but I had 3 little tiny ones right in a row. Plus, there's 2 little needle marks right next to, on each end of the outside burns. There's a needle mark on top of each one.
Holy smokes. So,
and I was sitting there, and I noticed the texture of the burns were like a sandpaper feeling. It wasn't like a skin thing. It was more like sandpaper. And I put Neosporin on it to, because it was stinging. I'll put that on, it'll take it away. It made it worse. So no matter cream I put on there, and I remember I had some organic honey, so I thought, I'm going to try that. Because I'd heard about that, so I put it on there. It totally cooled it down. Totally cooled it down. Now, honey usually stays sticky on your body. It doesn't get dry. It, stays sticky for a while. About 3 hours later, I was tapping it, and it felt like plastic. It had hardened and crystallized.
Okay, so you asked them for some kind of proof, and they gave you proof. Have you actually had multiple abductions?
Yeah, they gave me proof, but...
Have you had multiple abductions throughout your life?
Go ahead. Yeah, I've had abduction dreams. They were doing something to my teeth. They were examining my digestive system. And I was in Reiki classes for a while. Some of this is out west, some of this is here. And what they do, because I used to have this really cool dog, and in the dreams, I'm chasing after my dog. And then suddenly he runs into this building, and I go in after him, and I realize suddenly it's like, wait a minute, my dog disappears. And then suddenly I'm sitting on a bench or a table, and I always have the same being in front of me. It's like this nurse, not a nurse, dressed up like a nurse, but it's not. But it's always like a fat nurse, tall, like 6-something, but it's heavy. And the last time that actually happened that I ever saw the nurse, she actually turned around and smiled at me. And was looking at me, just kind of smiled. And then they also had in the dream to where there's this girl that was like playing with my arm, like doing acupressure or something. And I didn't like her in real life, but she's in the dream with me, smiling and talking, just, pushing on the arm, like this is okay. And then I looked up to my left and I saw this star cluster, which had like a square head and a long tail to it. And then I thought, well, a snake. But I looked up and saw that. I can't find it in the sky anywhere. So. I've had those things tons of times. I've had dreams where I wake up and I can't, recall a dream, but when I wake up, I'm not orientated with being here. It took me 45 minutes one time to remember what I call car keys and exactly what do they go to, and then what was the name of that thing that they went to. So, yeah, absolutely. When I hear stuff like that, it's too hard to discard somebody saying something like that because I've had some of the same experiences.
Okay,
so absolutely.
Yeah, so there's some corroboration. And this is why we've always done it live, because like I say, you don't have to be Linda Moulton Howe to be on this show. Like, I'd rather hear from you, to be perfectly honest, because I mean it, because you have a firsthand experience and you can share it with people. And it's not going to be filtered by the media, or I'm not going to spin it and say some other thing about what you said. We heard exactly in your own words what you just said. And it does. If what you're saying is true, right, and it's your truth, it's corroborating many of the things we talk about on on this show. And you're not the only one, by the way. You know this. It's why you're here tonight, right? It's totally why you're here.
And two, I have the scars to prove it.
And there you go. So actual physical evidence. Have you actually ever done any sort of regression or any of the rest of this stuff to kind of maybe open up some more of this, or has it always been your experience that you can kind of recall these things?
Well, I was looking to Super Soldier because I've also had dreams of levitation and being in this military thing, but we were doing psychic stuff, and that's just been coming up recently. And then the levitation was levitating into a building. So you could get past the sensors, but you had to levitate, like the infrared sensors like they have in museums where they have these little red beams running around, and if you cross them, it sets off the alarm. In the dream, you had to levitate in between those beams, and if you hit the beams, you were shocked or burned. And to teach you to really navigate in between them, and then when you came out of them, you'd straighten up and then levitate to the ground, but you wouldn't touch the ground. I've had dreams like this.
That sounds like a video game.
Dreams where they shoot you up with stuff.
That sounds like okay, here's a video game challenge in your dream, level 4, go. Right? Interesting. It seems. Doesn't it seem like it?
In one way it does, but but the way when you're in it, there's a true threat, because when I'm in it, I looked over this one time. I looked over to the left, and something was going on, and they were taking this guy down. Whatever the aliens, whoever they were, but they had these, look like big guns or something, and they just took this guy down and drug him off. And it's like, okay, and you just get the feeling of, okay, don't do that, you'll be fine. Just don't look around too much and just do what you're doing, type of thing. But I have them, when I was in Phoenix, I had my bedroom. My bed was in one spot for years, and it got to the point to where I would wake up in the morning, and just as you're waking up, I look up at the ceiling, I'd see, what do they call them, geometric shapes, and, I'd see it clearly, and then as I woke up, it would start to disappear, then I'd see the ceiling, stuff like that. I mean, it's just one thing after another. I mean, I've got years of stuff like that, but when I look at it, it's there, it's really happening, and it's true, and I actually do have some proof.
Okay, perfect. Can I ask you this then?
No, I mean, I could take you out or anybody out and show you, look what's going on, and then I could show proof to people, but nobody wants to see it. No,
right, exactly. That's part of the problem, right? Nobody wants to see it. Have you, in your experience with this abduction stuff, have you actually been able to glean any actual agenda from what these quote aliens want in the end of ends? Do you have any idea?
Well, I had I've had 4 consecutive dreams of the same beings. And every time in the beginning, it was always medical. I always had the same nurse, but I have these little grays down there, and there's one big gray, and the little gray's doing stuff. They'd shoot me up with, I'd eat this yellow stuff, and then it looks like I was sitting on a human toilet, right? And then, of course, I guess you're, going to the bathroom, and then they were examining your stool after you went to the bathroom, because they were down there doing something. I'm sitting on this thing, but it was symbology of, maybe cleansing your system, maybe there's, see how it's going, or they're putting something into your system to change your system or your DNA or whatever's going on. But I think there's a certain agenda. Plus the one that I had the beings, it was a man and woman or a couple. It was about DNA. And then the first dream I had was, and they manipulate you big time. They manipulate you sexually big time. And because I used to wake up horny as hell in the morning, it's like, why am I so horny? And then, of course, as I wake up, it'd go away. It was like, okay, I don't know why that was there, but, and it would go away. And what I finally got a clue of was I finally had an open dream to where this being was coming down. It was a female, and she could jump my bones. Then things go black, and then in the dream, I'm, like, highly aroused. And I'm sitting there just, and I'm just going at it, and everything's going, and I finally woke up in the dream, and I looked down, and it's a female. And I was like, okay. And then everything's just like, and it went black, because I saw, and it goes black. And then probably, let me see, that was that. And then there was the one about the DNA dream, to where they were there again. I used to train horses for a living. And there was a DNA dream where I was there, and at the horse show, and they were testing DNA between a horse and a fish, and the horse had legs but had a fish tail. It's like, all right, this makes no sense to me. But you're thinking seahorse, right? And so this was a dream, and there was a horse trailer there, two-stall horse trailer. They were there. It was like a regular horse show. But that was going on, and I thought, nah, I don't. And it was, later on, I'd stopped riding. I thought, I could get on there and ride it again, see what they'd be like. And I got on, riding the horse, jumping big. But it was kind of weird. And then at the end of the dream, there was a DNA race going on. It was a Chinese. It was a black and white, check 4. And I was told to stay over top of the Chinese if they did anything wrong or looked like they were cheating to take them out. And then the dream ends. And then there was another dream, the same beings, and they were white with real white fuzzy hair. You know those little Cupid dolls, troll-looking things, they have fuzzy hair?
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, okay, same thing, but just make it white, or eggshell white, off-white, not like white, but off-white. Bodies are white, and and I was bartending and working a hotline at the time, psychic line. And so I'm in the stream, and we're in this big party. And everybody had red cups, red plastic cups or beer bottles. And it was kind of weird. Nobody was really drinking. And I saw them walk by, and I wanted to go, hey, I know you. And I was like, oh. And they didn't acknowledge me. I thought, that's kind of rude. I'm sitting there but I felt very comfortable with all these beings or people around. And so that dream ends. And the last dream I had is where I was on this planet sitting on the dirt. And I was looking around trying to figure out how I was going to get home. And I heard somebody come up behind me. And I got up and turned around. It was a female being with a child.
Uh-oh.
And I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the child, what do you want? I don't, why am I here? And
she wants alien child support.
What?
Alien child support. Did the child have your eyebrows? I just wanted.
That's what all the numbers are about. They wanted money.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, anyway, you think human child support's bad? Oh,
it's an intergalactic shakedown. So not to make fun, the jokes come, so the jokes come. We're not making light of this. Sorry about that. Don't want to.
No, we're not. I believe you. I'm making light of it to like it's normal, right? That's all. Yeah. What you're saying, it corroborates a lot of things that you hear. Like at one point you mentioned there was like a kind of weird looking person that's like probably a hybrid, and that they do the abduction is primarily like a sexual reproductive sort of thing. So, I mean, this is really interesting, man. Yeah. You have any more to share with us?
Well, at the end of the dream, I'm looking at the child, and I finally went, oh, that's mine. And then once I did that, the female put the child down. The child walked off with her, and she looked at me in a knowing way, like a little smile, and then they walked off. It's something like that. I've had so much stuff. It's just, I was living up in northern Arizona, and I had this dream where I just moved up there. It's about 3 weeks in. And I'm laying there in this dream, and as I'm waking up, I see this guy in this robe kind of thing with the long white hair and long beard and all this stuff, hanging out. And he wasn't at the pearly gates, but he was at gates, wrought iron gates. And he was sitting there, and he had his hand out. He was putting me back in my body. And I was waking up I don't want to be back here. And I was like, take me. Just get me out of here. And he put me back, and then I had to wake up. But I felt so much. It was just this incredible security, love, just oh, God, I want to be there. It's like the pressure was taken off. You could just, be happy. And they put me back, and as I was waking up, all that went away. Like a big joke.
Of course, right?
But yeah, I've got tons of stuff. But
nice. Like I said, I always enjoy your calls, man. You always got amazing stuff to tell us. If is there any way that somebody could reach out to you? You said if you can show people proof. Are you open to that? If there's people in the chat saying, hey, give them my phone number.
The proof would be out in Arizona, not here. Well, you know what I do have? Oh, dude,